Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It is Monday, July 6th, 2026, and you're listening to episode 236 of Midnight Film Society. I'm your host, Damian Sherman. Joining me today, as always, is
Derrick McDuff.
On today's show, a face, a fleet, a war, a man. Today, we are diving deep into Christopher Nolan's latest epic, The Odyssey. But before that, we will go over some movie and TV news, more about what we're watching, and finish up with our Letterboxd Assignments. Right into the show, Midnight Film Society at gmail.com, Midnight Film Pod on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Letterboxd. Subscribe on Pocket Cast, YouTube Podcasts, and Spotify. Rate and review it on Apple Podcasts. Tell a friend, family member, or stranger. What's up, sir? How are we doing?
We are doing well. You know, I know that you just completed your literal Odyssey home from seeing this film.
Yeah. Quite literal, yes. I trucked, as I've said many times before in the show, one of the main ways I see movies is to go over Albany. It's about a 45-minute trek. I probably speed ran it to get home in time to do this podcast. It's probably like 43 minutes. Probably the quickest ride I've taken. So, yeah, it was the last movie I saw. I saw it at 6:30. Got out at, it started at 7, so probably got out around 10. I made it all the way through. Did not have to pee, which is an accomplishment for me at my age with my bladder. So yeah. I literally just stepped out of seeing this epic tome of a film.
Well, you know, really, it's not often we get to talk about a new Chris Nolan movie on the pod, so it should be a good one here today.
Absolutely. Very excited to go over all of that with you. Let's get into some movie and TV news real quick. One of the biggest ones of the week, of the last couple of years, is an actor passed away this week. Sam Neill, unfortunately, passed away this week at the age of 78. I know I think his family, his people put out a press release saying it was pneumonia that took him. I know he was battling cancer, but I think he, was in remission at the time of his death. He was
cancer-free. Yeah. So
that's so unfortunate. One of the biggest actors of my lifetime. I've actually went through his filmography recently, and let me pull it up real quick because I know I've seen quite a few of his films. The biggest one being obviously for you and me would have been Jurassic Park from back in the day. What's second to that, Derrick? Tell me what is like the next thing that comes up when you think of Sam Neill.
I mean, yeah, he was a big deal for me. Obviously, Alan Grant, his role in Jurassic Park is totemic, and this is a huge loss for me. I think if I had to choose a role that I think of when I think of him besides that, I might go for A Hunt for the Wilder People. He's obviously an Australia or New Zealand actor, and so when I think of him, that's like later on in life. It was about 10 years ago now, but he's kind of playing this old curmudgeon New Zealand guy in that. So he really was having a ball with that. That's a great film, and it was great to see him do in his native New Zealand there representing in Taika Waititi's film.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just pulling up his Wikipedia just now and I just realized he was in the first, I think maybe even second season of Peaky Blinders. He played one of the constables in the early seasons of that. He was very good in that. I've seen in the last couple of years, I finished up John Carpenter's filmography, which included In the Mouth of Madness from 1994, where he played the main character in that. Obviously, the Hunt for Red October, he was really incredible in that. For all the horror heads, like in the Mouth of Madness, we also have Event Horizon. Obviously, Event Horizon was probably the first time I had been turned on to really gnarly horror, cosmic horror, that kind of stuff. So that was a big deal for me. back when I was first discovering that stuff. And, I think in the last, let's say 3 or 4 years, I really went deep with the horror stuff from the 80s, and one of them was 1981's Possession, which if you haven't seen that is one of the best sort of domestic horror movies that's ever been made. So yeah, really, really eclectic career for Sam Neill.
Yeah, for sure. And, obviously I mentioned Hunt for the Wilder People. Obviously, huge shout out to same year that Jurassic Park comes out. He's also in The Piano. If you want to talk about a really, film that is a big deal for a country, that being a native New Zealand film, he's obviously really claimed in it. And then another one that was big for me when I was a kid, along with him being Alan Grant, he was Merlin for me. That was a miniseries, that original '98 miniseries that I would watch all the time. I remember my grandma having this like double VHS that was basically played. It was like a movie, watching it all the way through. A lot him. Whenever I think of Merlin, I kind of always think of Alan Grant, or I think of Sam Neill.
That's what I have to catch up on. One more from the horror pantheon. He was in The Omen 3, The Final Conflict, playing.
Right, he's Damian.
Damian Thorne, yeah. Bill Simmons always calls him Damian Omen. He did actually have an actual last name there. So yeah, really want to catch up on some of the stuff I've been missing over the years. Was it a Carpenter movie, or was it? Yeah, it was a Carpenter movie. Okay, so I fibbed when I said I've finished his filmography. He was also in Memoirs of an Invisible Man in 1992, a Carpenter film there. So yeah, really amazing career. Definitely be missed. Sam Neill passed away this week at 78.
Yeah, and it seems like from all accounts, just one of the coolest dudes around. He seems like just a great guy. There's all these clips been resurfacing in the last week since he's passed about just stuff he's said, and just how much everybody loved him and his kind of musing and thoughts on the world. And the one that really stuck with me is him talking about it, saying that he's not afraid of dying, but he'd be angry about it because there's just so much more to do.
Yes, absolutely. That's a great quote there. Yeah. All right, so with that, let's get to what we've been watching. Got a couple stuff on my watch list here. I would file this first one under, the thing I always talk about, the movies that people claim don't get made anymore, but we have one called Tuner from this year. It was actually debuted at the Telluride Film Festival last year. I just caught up with it just now. This is directed by Daniel Rohrs and stars Leo Woodall, Havana Rose Liu, and Dustin Hoffman. Jean Reno plays a cameo in here. This is a really great kind of a heist thriller. It's kind of a classic heist thriller where the heist guy, the guy that does the heist, the guy that does the crimes, also gets into a relationship and also has to obviously hide that from his new girlfriend, but of course that doesn't always work out. Amazing film, amazing little hidden gem from this year that I would recommend everyone checking out.
Okay, yeah, I remember the trailers coming out for it. It's like, it's a guy who has a very specific skill, and he uses that to. It's kind of like Baby Driver almost in that way. Yeah. It seems like a little bit. Seemed interesting from the trailers at least.
Yeah, really good. It's one of those that just came out, so it's on PVOD for Apple TV and Amazon, all that for $19.99. Unfortunately, big bucks. Got to shell out the big bucks for that one right now.
Yeah.
I read through the finally finished. The Last Kings of Hollywood, the Paul Schiffer book. I'll be speaking to him next week. We've had scheduling conflicts abound the last couple of weeks, so trying to nail down possibly next week chatting with him. But I did finish his book, and because I finished that one, and Hearts of Darkness is a documentary that I've always wanted to check out for many years. So I finally did this week, and yeah, it's one of those movies that are just like. I wish they would make, again, talking about movies they don't make anymore, I wish they would make more documentaries like this, or at least, do a more robust behind-the-scenes making of movies. Definitely want to see, speaking of Nolan, I want to see how he made a lot of his stuff, especially the Odyssey and Oppenheimer and a lot of that stuff. Dunkirk, I would love to see a behind-the-scenes featurette of that. So, yeah, that's what you get here. It is Eleanor Coppola and George Hickenlooper and other people directed this film. Came out in 1992. Used footage that Eleanor Coppola shot at the time. Also used a lot of her diary entries that she wrote in at the same time as they were making Apocalypse Now. So yeah, one of the great documentary of all time, one of the great behind the scenes of all time.
Yeah, I mean, I love movies like this, movies about making, movies. They're very, very fascinating, especially, ones that are just like these crazy big stories like this. It's funny because, I always think of the Abed quote from Community when he's talking about everyone knows that Hearts of Darkness is better than Apocalypse Now, and he's kind of right. Honestly, like this is a really, really, no shit on Apocalypse Now, but this is a really interesting, great documentary. I also think it's funny that Tropic Thunder, which obviously takes a lot from Apocalypse Now on the DVD, has a fake Hearts of Darkness style documentary about the making of Tropic Thunder in the movie. So I think this is really fascinating. If you are a fan of film and filmmaking, it's a must watch for sure.
Yeah, it really is. I want to move on, but I just want to say, like, it's the hubris of it. It really sticks out to you
Yeah.
when you realize that the Philippines were mired in their own civil war, and Coppola's using the helicopters to shoot, helicopters footage, and then it's like, what the fuck? They're taking my helicopters. What do they need them for? Well, they need to fight the civil war, sir. Well, fuck, all of them? I just need they said they would take 2 and they took 5. How dare they? It's very funny,
right? And Harvey Keitel's like having a heart attack, and he's just like, well, just come on, keep going, let's shoot it, like he's dying in the jungle. It's like, fuck it.
Yeah, very funny. Let's go to something we both saw. You checked out The Invite this week. I checked this out for the second time this week because there really wasn't much else that I wanted to see in the theater today.
Such disrespect to the minions, but okay.
I know, those poor little minions. I think they'll be fine. I think that movie made decent money.
Some people care about cinema and history, and some people would rather watch The Invite.
It's what? So for the second time, yes. That is me.
Yeah.
I'm that guy. Guilty as charged. So yeah, I really enjoyed this film. Why don't you take the reins? Derek, what did you think of Olivia Wilde's third feature, The Invite?
Yeah, this is one of those movies where you're never really quite sure where it's going to go. It feels like it's a different movie depending on what point you're watching it. The first part is this kind of cringy, like almost European. I think it is. It is based on a Spanish film. It's very European. It's just kind of like this relationship kind of like looking where it's funny, but you're also like, oh, this is tough to watch at points, and then it becomes this like interesting view on like sex and sex positivity and like open like relationships and all this stuff, and it becomes kind of sexy and funny in a different way. And the end of the movie, it's very different from either of those tones, and you really never know what it's going to do next. So I mean, I enjoyed the film overall. I don't know that I loved ultimately where it went. I was satisfied with the ending, but I really I locked into, I think, what it was doing with that second part, especially when and I guess we'll go spoilers here when it's like, and this isn't really terribly spoiling anything because it's in the previews, but when it looks like there's going to be some partner swapping happening in this moment, and it's kind of, it's very lighthearted, but it's also just kind of like, oh, like these people are finally kind of opening up and having a good time, and it changes from that. But I think that was my favorite part, was when the couples kind of like pair off, and it's Rogan and Penelope Cruz, and then Norton and Olivia Wilde, just kind of like going off, and you're about to see them hook up with each other, and it's just kind of this movie about regrets and relationships and like the way we talk to each other, and should we stay in a relationship. There's a line that really hit about why do you guys stay together, and they say for the kids, and so another character says, well, would you rather the kid be see her parents together and miserable, or separate and happy? And that really hit. So yeah, I overall really enjoyed this movie, but what did you think of it?
I did too. I really enjoyed it as well. If we're doing, I guess if we're doing like best of the year again, just like a quick update, quick addendum to my best of the year list so far, it's actually number 4. I really, really like this movie a lot. Yeah. Speaking of, I like what you said about it being this, European influenced drama. comedy drama. Speaking of drama, like literally the drama was directed by European and had heavily influenced by European tone. This is as well, another the movie. I saw a preview for another the movie coming out later this year, the audition or the amateur, or I forgot what it was about, or forgot exactly what it was called, but I think we talked about it a couple weeks ago.
Oh, well, it starts with the, that narrows it down at least.
Yeah, the new Jesse Eisenberg movie. Let me see. Eisenberg seems like again very European tone to it. Let's see. It's got Julianne Moore in it. New movie 2026. Oh,
Jurassic Park, the Lost World Jurassic Park.
Yes. It's called the debut. So very, by the end of the year, it'll be like, which one was the invite? Which one was the debut? Which one was drama? But yeah, a lot of the movies this year.
Which one was the Odyssey?
Yeah, exactly.
They all have those in the title.
No, I really, really like this movie a lot. I thought this was like one of the best Joe Rogan, Jesus, Seth Rogen performances. Really like Penelope Cruz, really like Edward Norton. I will say I think Olivia Wilde is a little bit out of her range when she's trying to do awkward comedy, which she does. There's like one specific moment that I want to pull out and just to highlight. I was like, I think she was doing like 20% too much. And the part is when she's right after she offers the meat to Penelope Cruz's character, and she's like, "Oh, I don't eat meat," and she like starts having like a panic attack. I was like, you could have brought that down at least 20% because she's just going so far. She's like chewing massive scenery when I don't think that scene really called for it. But I do think she was well served in the rest of the movie. Seth Rogen is playing pretty much himself, and I think what he would do in a situation like this. But I think it does a very good job of, in the context of the movie and the context of what they're talking about, and also his relationship with Olivia Wilde, it's clearly she's had enough with him, and he's being snarky and he's being mean and he's being condescending, just over the top, and being a douchebag through a lot of this movie, which I think it's interesting for him to play that role, because I don't know if we've ever seen him kind of be this sort of condescending and kind of mean, right? Is this the first time we've ever seen him be this type of guy before?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely kind of a jerk in this, but it's also, it feels like not relatable, but very realistic in his portrayal.
Yeah.
It feels like, you understand how he got to where he's at, and I'd say the same thing mostly for Olivia Wilde's character. I do think, there are some beats where she is a little bit exaggerated and feels a little less real than him, but their relationship does feel very real, and you can understand, like, because she does some stuff you're like, that's really fucking shitty too. So you can understand why, like, how over the years their relationship has just corroded to this point, and that's really what the end of the movie is about. Like, the beginning's about like, oh, this really bad relationship, the middle's like, oh well, here's some interesting way for them to spice it up maybe, and the end is just kind of like, well, where do we go from here? Like, how are we going to stay in this relationship? What is it going to be like moving forward? Thought it was a nice little look at a relationship. It clearly one of those movies that's just like, okay, we've got a set. It almost felt like it could have been a play where it's like, we've got a set, like, and it's just 4 characters, and other than like the opening scene, it's just them moving around this one set. I was also very confused by the geography of it, though, about like the windows. That's how it's like they're upstairs neighbors, but you can see them from a window that looks down from the opposite angle, and there's also it was a little bit confusing in that regard. I don't think the geography was very well spelled out in this movie, but overall I liked it. I don't think I was as warm on it as you were, but I did enjoy it still.
What was I going to say? Edward Norton's character. No, it's Seth Rogen's interaction with him and with Penelope Cruz's character, where you ask him a couple times, like, "Are you a fucking interior designer?" He's like, "No, I just like rugs." And then Penelope Cruz is talking about like perimenopause, and he's like, "Are you a fucking doctor?" And she's like, "No, I'm a sexologist or a psychotherapist or whatever." She said she was, and she's talking. I love the part where she's talking about like, imagine your testicles and they shrivel up, and your sac just becomes this nothing. It just shrivels up, and then for the next 30 years, you're just walking around with this shriveled up ball sack. Would you like that? And he's like, no, I wouldn't like that, actually.
I like how your Penelope Cruz is both French and apparently like is
Yeah.
something stuck in her throat.
Yes, that's what she is. that's my
Yeah.
that's how I do accents. I just sort of vaguely European. What else was he's just so funny. Like Seth Rogen has, of course, impeccable comedic timing. I think my theater both times I saw it, my theater cackled when they're confronting when Penelope Cruz and Edward Norton are confronting him about coming to their door after they had sex and about him pounding on the door, and they're like, "No, you pounded on our door. Like we literally saw you on our cameras." Like they don't have cameras. They don't have cameras like that. It's not, people cameras aren't a thing. And they showed him the footage. Like just before they show him the footage, he's still denying. He's like, "No, that's not me. I'm not that. Oh fuck, yeah, that's me." It's just the perfect.
He's very, very well. Like his Rogan shtick is perfectly weaponized in this film, I will say. I think
Yes.
him and Penelope Cruz are really the standouts. I think they're
Yes.
both good. Like whenever it's the two of them, like it is just crap. Like I would not expect this going into this movie. I was not gonna be like, you know what? One of the best scenes that this movie was all the stuff with Cruz and Rogan. They have some real like fiery chemistry. Like, but they do.
They do very much so. When she's talking to him about like, you look at my teeth in the elevator. You look at my teeth. Don't you like my boobs? Look at my breasts. Look at them. Look at them.
I'm not going to look at that. It was very good.
So yeah, I cannot recommend this movie enough. I don't know how many theaters it's playing in, but if it is playing near you, how they recommend checking it out. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, no, I very much enjoyed it.
Yes. Couple things I saw same day I saw Invite the first time I saw Gail Daughtry in the Celebrity Sex Pass. I mentioned last time it's from David Wayne and Ken Marino of What Hot American Summer fame and several other sort of parody movies. This is very much in the same vein as They Came Together, another David Wayne rom-com send up. Yeah. This is also a rom-com send up, but it's also, somebody said it was like, and they perfectly encapsulated what it is, and I forgot what they said. Like, oh yeah, obviously it's that. Oh, it's sort of like a Wizard of Oz of this woman.
Yeah, that's what I've heard it compared to is Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, this woman gets this whole ragtag group of people to go see one very important person. Yeah, it's very funny, very on the nose stuff, very over the top stuff. But yeah, if you're a fan of What Hot American Summer, They Came Together, stuff like that, again check it out if you have an afternoon to kill.
Yeah, I've been meaning to see this one. I love David Wayne. I think he's an absolute comic genius. I love both of those films quite a bit, as well as the other stuff that he's done, like Role Models. And like he's just a genius. So I really, this was a movie that I heard really zero interest in until I heard David Wayne, and then I was like, oh, okay, let's go. Like as much as I'm like have a huge crush on Zoe Deutsch, I was like, I don't know about this movie. Like the plot, I'm like, who cares? But then it's like, oh yeah, David Wayne, The Wizard of Oz. I was like, actually, that sounds interesting. That sound like now, so I need to go watch this one for sure.
Yeah, some very, very funny cameos in that. Let's go to you. You checked out Disneyland Handcrafted. I didn't do any research on this. I don't know what this is about, so tell us in the audience, what is this about?
Yeah, so this is something that recently dropped on Disney Plus. It is a it's a different kind, but it's a documentary like Hearts of Darkness. And it's just basically kind of a chronicle, I guess, of Disneyland being built. And you're just kind of seeing the stages of the production of it, and while talking heads are letting you know, well, Walt was doing this, and the Jungle Cruise was not ready, and he was fucking pissed, like whatever, shit like that. So, and it's like and it's wild because growing up in Southern California, I live currently 10 minutes from Disneyland. I've gone hundreds of times in my life to Disneyland. So these are all the landmarks there are iconic things that are burned into my brain forever. Like the image on a TV that you leave on for too long.
Mm.
And to see them slowly being constructed, half built, you seeing like Autopia and it's just dirt. You're seeing Main Street and it's just these wooden facades, was very fascinating. So from just a standpoint of like, this is something really interesting to look at, and it's this basically historical document of this thing that would be constructed very quickly in over a couple months and has now like stood the test of time, and myself and my parents and so many people, like the older generations and young generations, have viewed this, and to see what its origin point was really cool.
Nice, awesome. So that is streaming now on Disney Plus, like you said.
Yes, on Disney Plus for now. Who knows? Stuff doesn't, as I've been talking about on my show Underrated. Disney Plus has done some purges, so
Oh,
you never know how long this will stick around, because some of the Disney Plus originals are gone forever. But this one is a new one, so definitely check it out.
that's insane to me. Like just those, like you said, Disney originals. It's like they're not paying anything for it. They're not licensing it from anybody. It's their own thing. It doesn't. Jesus.
Yeah, they have to, like, it's one of those things where it's like they might be paying like some royalties or something, like
Yeah.
but it's like, yeah, it's their stuff. They made it specifically for that service. But you want to watch Togo, a Disney Plus original? Too bad, because it's not streaming on Disney Plus and it's not streaming anywhere, and you can't buy the DVD.
Yep. Fortunately, you have to go to your buddy who might have a Plex server. Let's just say that you might have to do that.
You just may, and the first time it might be corrupted.
It might be. It might be. The pirates out there don't always bring the right treasure.
Right, exactly. The Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
You know,
Them,
sometimes Davy Jones gets them.
Let's a couple more things before the review of the week. I saw Ninja 2. I heard a lot about this the last couple of years. It's one of the, I think it is the highest grossing animated thing of all time. Let's see. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Wikipedia says it's became the highest grossing film of 2025, fifth highest grossing of all time. I thought it did say, oh yeah, the highest selling animated film based on ticket sales. Okay, so that's what that is. If you like anime, like just straight up a kid, if you look at the art, it's very One Piece inspired. It's very like, but by the end, he does like a transformation, so it's like Dragon Ball Z. But like any number of animes do that sort of transformation thing, not just towards Dragon Ball Z. But yeah, it is definitely that. It's definitely a kid has to train real hard to get stronger to face the next thing. Very interesting storyline here. Not really a twisty storyline, but it's kind of one of those like, oh yeah, okay, that's an interesting way of going about that. Incredible animation. I don't know how it was animated. I don't know if it was like mix of CGI and hand drawn, but it looks amazing. Like I told you, I got the 4K version of this, so looks absolutely stunning. So I'll highly recommend checking out Ninja 2. I don't know where it is streaming right now.
Yeah, it's just like, because when you text me, you're like, because I knew like it was like, oh, this film from China that has the box office record, took it from Zootopia, and you were just like out of nowhere, you were just like, hey, you should watch this movie. And I was like, is this a joke? Is this a meme? You're like, no, seriously, it's actually really good. So know nothing about this movie other than it made a shit ton of money in China. So I guess I'll have to add this one to the watch list.
Yeah, it has those moments of just like, okay, I don't know how much more you can up the stakes and up the scale of this, but they seemingly do, and it's incredible. Some of the animated stuff in this thing by the end, it just blows my mind. It is currently streaming on HBO Max.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well. Yeah.
But check it out, yeah. I've been digging my way through a couple different shows. X-Files, I'm up to like the 6th or 7th episode of the first season. One of the things 6, 7. One of the big takeaways I found coming away from the show, just in rewatching it now and thinking about, how shows in the last, let's say 10 to 15 years have kind of taken a while to find its footing. I'm thinking of things like Parks and Rec. I think in The Office, a lot of, depth stuff has taken a while to find its audience, to find its footing. This show really hasn't. I know it took a while. Maybe the first couple episodes took a while for audience for word of mouth to break through, but it knows what it is right from the beginning. It has some really well shot scenes, well written scenes, well acted. I think it has mythology in place right from the start. So it's a really rare show in that it feels like it knows what it is right from the start. So it's not breaking records here. I'm not saying anything anybody doesn't know, but X-Files is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about this last week. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. I think I only saw the first. I think I only saw the first episode then.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
I just started it, so yeah, still
Yeah.
good. And I think I'm like
Okay.
the thing that inspired
Yeah.
me to watch it. I'm still working my way through that because it's like a 5.5 hour video essay about
Oh, I love those.
the mythology actually makes sense, and the reason he made it was because I guess when the reboot, the 10th and 11th season, spoilers I guess for that season, but they do a pretty big retcon of saying how the aliens, so the whole mythology, the main mythology of the show was that the aliens were going to colonize Earth and take over, and I think they were like going to kill a bunch of people and enslave the rest of them, and they were going to do that in tandem with the government. But I guess season 10 and 11 retcon a lot of that and saying no, actually it was going to be the government the government had alien tech that they themselves were going to utilize to then create super soldiers that they were then going to subjugate countries and kill people and blah 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 blah. So I don't know if people know that big twist or big retcon or whatever, and I think he does make a point in the video to say no, actually Chris Carter knew that all along, and he makes a good argument. I don't know if it really stands up to high scrutiny if you go back and actually watch the series, but yeah, a very interesting argument he makes there.
Yeah, I mean, with those things, I feel like there's always people who are like, well, they meant it all along, or people who are like, well, they didn't. You see, they never had a plan all along, and I'm like, it doesn't fucking matter. Like, it's like why does that enhance or detract from your enjoyment of something, whether or not they had like all these things planned out? Because with TV, it being such a long form thing of storytelling, and things change so much, you can never predict things, which is why people hate the end of How I Met Your Mother so much, is because they were like, we were going to do this exactly how we planned it, even though the characters changed and grew in ways that we did not expect over the years. But we already shot all the stuff with the kids, so we got to do it this way. You look at something like, Twin Peaks, how there was a reflection of one of like the set guys on there, and he became the big overarching villain, Bob.
Yep.
Lost, that's one thing that people always like, Lost, they never had a plan right from the start, and it's like, well, they had some ideas of what shit would be, and then they figured it out as they went along. They developed their mythology based on the characters that were introduced. They, like, people like Ben showing up. Like, he was supposed to be like a small one-time character. He became one of the biggest things of the show. Like, he's incredible. He's one of the best parts of the show. So you, with a TV show like that is not based on anything, when you have stuff like The Smoking Man, things that break out, things that work very well, things that might not work as well, you got to reconfigure your plans constantly and make your show based on that, especially since you don't know how long your show is going to last typically. So I think that is just that's always something I'm just like, who gives a shit if they didn't have the exact ending planned out at the very beginning. And sometimes it's like, okay, they have a larger overarching thing of like, well, how is Better Call Saul going to tie into Breaking Bad? We're going to hit all these points, but even then it's like, plans change. We know that Chuck is going to have to disappear at some point, but how and why is going to disappear, and what's going to happen with Lalo, because he gets mentioned in the show. Where's Lalo? That stuff is all just it gets figured out, And the fact that they didn't have it from day zero is it doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, I mostly agree with that. Yes. A series I'm also catching up with from this year that's very X-Files inspired. X-Files inspired, but also like stuff like like you mentioned, Twin Peaks. Also heavily inspired by Midnight Mass, which is Widow's Bay. It's the burning up the charts. One of the best shows this year. They talk about this a lot on The Watch. I think it got nominated for a bunch of Emmys at this year's Emmy Awards. I think it's got 19 nominations this year. So it's great. The thing everyone's shouting from the rooftops, that's one of the best shows of the year. Yes, it is actually. Imagine that. Matthew Rhys plays the mayor. Kato Flynn plays his assistant. Just an eccentric group of island folk. One of the main characters is Stephen Root, playing the kooky, supernatural historian guy who tells everyone the town is haunted. Don't do this. He's essentially, the sheriff. The sheriff.
That's
from,
a very
from
good
Jaws.
Stephen Root part. I think that's very good for him.
the perfect Stephen Root character. Yes.
Yes.
What was I going to say about this? Yeah, just I think they filmed this not near me at all. It's the complete opposite side of the state, but just being a northeastern guy, knowing those places, knowing Cape Cod, knowing all of these places. Let's see specifically. Where was it shot? It's not on here. But
That's cool. I wish they shot movies in California. That would be cool.
They never do. Let me see. It's somewhere where I know quite pretty familiar with it. Somebody says like Mary of Easttown meets Schitt's Creek, which I think is very, very specific. But yeah, very good show. Highly recommend checking it out.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, like there's so many shows I have to watch, but this one sounds really, really good. It's too many.
It's one of those things where obviously this year I'm doing one movie a day, so I don't have a lot of time to watch stuff. But I always find myself with like an extra 45 minutes when I'm just like playing a game or whatever on the side, and just want to have something on the side to watch. So yeah, TV.
And I love Matthew Rhys. Yeah, TV
Matthew
is
Rhys.
A thing.
Matthew Rhys. Yeah, so good in so many things. I think I watched the first couple seasons of The Americans. I'm trying to remember what the main thing I know him from that I watched a lot of the stuff he did.
I mean, for me, it's definitely The Americans. Like, I think that is one of my all-time favorite shows. And so whenever he does something, I'm like, man, do I need to watch fucking Perry Mason?
Watchmen. What was he in? No, he did The Voice. Let me see. He was George Carlin in Saturday Night. Yes, I remember.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, he's very good in that. Yeah. What were you gonna say?
Okay. Oh, I was just I was trying to figure out who he was in. You said he was in Watchmen.
He was a voice. He was Night Owl in an animated show. Animated direct-to-video version of Watchmen. Yeah.
He's very Night Owl. That's very good casting.
Yeah. TV shows. He's done so many TV shows. Obviously The Americans, Perry Mason. I feel like there was like one thing I saw him in that I don't remember what it was that I really liked him in. Anyways, check out Widow's Bay. One more thing before we get to review of the week. The second movie I saw today was Evil Dead Burn. This one is for the sickos. This one is for the people like goopy tendrils and goopy viscera and blood and just exploding blood and crunching teeth and exploding eyeballs and all of that stuff. So this is one of the most disgusting movies I've seen in a long time, and I had an amazing time. So if you're a sicko like me, check it out.
Okay, all right. I mean, I have a relationship with the Evil Dead where I've seen some of them, and some of them are I tend to pretty like the ones I've seen. I've seen the original trilogy. I think 2 is probably the best one of that trilogy. I have a soft spot for the remake. Covered it way back in the day on Underrated, but I did not get the chance to see Evil Dead Rise. But I'll have to check Burn out. I've been meaning to watch it.
It's actually really well made, like just in terms of shot composition. There's an incredible oneer. I don't know if you saw the trailer for this movie, but the oneer is basically the trailer of one of the characters just crawling throughout this house while crazy shit is going on behind her. Really good main antagonist, where it's one of those antagonists that actually isn't stupid, actually is capable, actually can fight back in the vein of something like You're Next, or not Hide and Seek, the one that just came out with a sequel this year with Samara Weaving.
Ready or Not.
Ready or Not, yes. So in the vein of that, of like very smart, very capable main characters, I really enjoy seeing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, quick side story is I went when I saw Ready or Not 2, Here I Come. I was watching it with a friend of the show, JMO, who's been a guest on Underrated a few times. We were seeing it at Universal. After a day at Universal, we were seeing it at the City Walk there, and we're like, okay, let's. We had a couple drinks at Margaritaville. We had maybe another substance or two, and then we went and we sit down and we sit through the trailers and everything, and the movie starts, and JMO leans over to me and goes, "Derrick, I've made a huge mistake." I'm like, what? He's like, I have not seen Ready or Not 1. So it was the same thing where he got confused also with the other film, the same one that you did. So it was that's what I always think of when I think of Ready or Not 2 is just I've made a huge mistake. And him just watching the whole movie, not really having seen the first one and having no context.
Oh, that's very funny. You kind of don't need any. You kind of get the picture there very quickly. Let me do one thing real quick. Okay, so I think that wraps it up for all the stuff we've been watching, except for the review of the week. Yes.
Yeah, I think that covers it.
Okay, so here we go. Christopher Nolan's. I'm not sure how many movies he's made, but Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey.
You're pining for a daddy you didn't even know, like some sniveling bastard.
Who's looking after your wife and son?
Do you see?
My dad is coming home. Bringing vengeance.
Bringing it all.
First movie to be filmed completely in IMAX. I saw it in Limax. In 2 weeks, I'll be seeing it AMC Lincoln Square. I think it is the biggest or one of the biggest screens in the country. You saw it at the Universal City Walk, correct?
No, so like you, I am seeing it in a. Actually, I'm seeing it on my birthday at City Walk in 70 millimeter IMAX. But like you, I saw it not in Limax. I saw it in what is actually, in my opinion, the best way to watch a movie like this, and which is Dolby Vision. So I'm a big fan of the Dolby theaters, and I saw it in a really, because there's a couple Dolbys near me, but I saw on the largest one. It's interesting. I was gonna get into this a little bit, but I don't know if you saw on the Letterboxd, you can actually not only check the movie, but check which format you see it in. There's like a little punch card with like 6 different versions. So I got to stamp. Saw it in Dolby.
I did see that as well. So I got a stamp. I saw it in IMAX. That was just IMAX original flavor IMAX or whatever. So yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Regular.
And then there's just like premium. So the 6 they have are Dolby Vision, regular IMAX 70 millimeter, non IMAX 70 millimeter, 35 millimeter, and then premium formats, which are just, I guess, the other ones. So you're like AMC Primes, and I guess 40X would count. I don't think this one's at 40X, but like,
no, that'd be amazing.
Whatever Regal's equivalent is, Screen Vision, where they play it on the walls. I don't know.
Yeah,
I was trying to figure out what large format exactly entailed. Infinity Vision, if you're a sicko and like Disney movies.
Yeah, I would see this in 40X, where especially the boat scenes where they just splash water on you the whole time.
That would be good. That would be gotta be down.
Yeah, right. Let me see. Let me pull this up. Yeah. All right. So, Derek, what did you think of Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey?
Hot take. This is a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I've liked pretty much every Chris Nolan movie that I've seen. I think he's gotten better and better and better. I also think that as his films had become more interesting, both visually and thematically, as he's been going more and more to IMAX, or as you said, this one is shot 100% in the IMAX 70 millimeter. So it's a lot more locked down. It's a little less jittery than some of his Batman movie early one was infamously. So this is a true epic. It's just a great adaptation of, I don't know, probably the most famous story ever told in the Odyssey. So there's not. It's weird because I do think there are a little bit of spoilers that I can get to with this, even though this is 3,000 years old.
Yeah.
There are some ways that he adapts this that are very good, but I thought this was phenomenal. I'm a sucker for this kind of mythology and history stuff. So I think that Homer was done well by this. It obviously adapts the Odyssey, but there's some interesting stuff from. So a lot of the imagery surrounding this is from the Iliad and from the Aeneid, which is obviously different stuff. And the Aeneid was written hundreds of years later by a different person in a different country, writing from a different perspective. The Elliot Page character is only mentioned in the Aeneid, but just kind of, it really feels like it captures this core fundamental truth that exists in the hearts of men. And I'll say a few more things when I talk about the spoiler that I want to get to. But what did you think of this, Damian?
I liked it quite a bit. It's like you said, pretty good. Chris Nolan, pretty good filmmaker. Yeah. I'm trying to think if the last movie I saw in IMAX, it might have been like Thor: Love and Thunder or something like that. I definitely know I saw Avengers Endgame in IMAX. That was one of the ones I took my friends to, and it was probably the one and only thing they've seen in IMAX. This was an incredible experience. Just sitting down, completely packed theater. Was your theater packed as well? Completely sold out?
Oh yeah, so completely sold out. There's not like everything was sold out for like the whole weekend. I got my ticket months ago.
Yep.
And and I tried to snag, and they were giving away IMAX posters. I even tried to like get I got like right before after I got out of my theater, tried to get a seat right up at the front to get for the IMAX screening where they were like, oh, we're out of posters, so I couldn't get a poster. But yeah, just completely full. There was showings going till 2:30 in the morning for this thing, starting at 2:30 in the morning, I should say.
Yes, that is a famous thing. Well, famous in our circles, people going to see this movie at 1 a.m., 3 a.m. showings, and you're like, why would you do that? You get at 6 a.m. That's insane. Yes, so yeah, I saw this.
Because couldn't get it for any other time, which bodes well for how this movie's going to do at the box office.
Oh my God, it's going to make all the money. Just one of the best movie going experience I've had in forever. I think Avengers Endgame was probably my favorite IMAX experience. This is probably my favorite movie I've seen in IMAX. This is epic in all the right ways. Before I get too deep into it, how familiar were you with the epic poem, The Odyssey?
I mean, through osmosis, you know a lot of stuff. I have not read the whole thing front cover to cover. I've been meaning to read the Emily Wilson translation for a while, but I've read excerpts. I've obviously have seen pieces of it before. I know the mythology very well. I'm more familiar with the story of the Iliad than the Odyssey, but it's the Odyssey. You know it.
Yeah, you just gotta kind of know it through osmosis.
The thing that happens at the end with the 108 suitors and all that stuff, and how he's on it. Like it's like the most famous thing ever written, other than maybe the Bible.
Exactly. So, yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen a movie in IMAX, but I think I didn't see Oppenheimer in IMAX, but it's still hugely epic thing, and this is as well. I think this is one of the best performances and best characters and best use of what Matt Damon does. He's one of our best, actors and best action actors. He can do kind of everything that Tom Cruise can do. I would say, obviously he's been. I don't know. Matt Damon hasn't been rewarded with a best actor. Right, Oscar? No,
the only Oscar he has is for writing for Good Will Hunting.
Interesting. So yeah, probably deserves it. They were talking about Big Pick today about what awards might go to who, but probably one of the best performances I've seen out of Matt Damon in a long time. The females in Chris Nolan movies are quote unquote underserved. I think Anne Hathaway does the best she can with limited screen time. Same with Zendaya and Charlize Theron and Lupita Nyong'o. Robert Pattinson is just playing the creep, playing the villain.
He's that's such a mean. Robert Pattinson, just like I want his whole party dead. He's so fucking good at being that skeevy little guy who's also just like really hot. It's fucking so good. He's so fucking good.
Who was the guy that he recruits to try to kill? Tries to kill what's his name? Odysseus' son. Odysseus' son. Telemachus.
I didn't recognize him.
I didn't either.
He looks a lot though like Bern Gorman is who he reminded me of.
He did, yeah. I didn't catch who that was, but yes, just the whole thing, his whole vibe was so creepy from the beginning. He pulls it off so well. Just overall, I will
say Samantha Morton is as Cersei.
Yes,
for female characters, fucking incredible.
Nailed it, absolutely nailed it. Just speaking overall, incredible stuff. Knowing that it was shot the way it was shot, using real locations, real boats, all of that, made it feel real, made it, the size of it, the scope of it, the screen, and just the soundscape. Louis Göransson should absolutely win best score next year. The drums and the beat and the rhythm and the pace of it.
Like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like this little rhythmic sound that it does every once in a while in the score. It's so fucking cool.
Yes, yes, that. But it's specifically when they're doing the the raid on Troy, right? The raid on Troy. They trying to get the door open, and that score kicks in. And it's just boom, 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 and you think it can't get any louder or faster or more intense, but it does somehow. Throughout that scene, and also the last scene that we'll get to. But yeah, the score was incredible. I don't know where this guy pulls these scores out of his ass, but the one for Oppenheimer I put on when I'm writing, and that is just one of the great all-time. Put this on in the background when you just want to really lock into whatever you're doing. Yeah, I was just so taken with every scene and all of the scenes on the boats and how you felt for, speaking of characters and speaking of actors, doing an incredible job. We have to mention Hamish Patel as his sort of...
He was so fucking... Like, he was the standout for me. Like, he's so goddamn good. And this is kind of his second-in-command guy.
His second in command, I felt for him when they're running from the island of giants, I guess, or whatever those guys are supposed to be in the armor. When he's just barely not getting in the boat, and Odysseus is saying, "Stop! Wait!" And it's like, you're about to die. Your whole crew is about to be wiped out if you don't leave right now. And he kept them there waiting for Eurycles is Hamish Patel's character's name in this. I think we'll just refer to the actors because there are so many Greek names that I could not pronounce for the life of me. We got to talk about John Bernthal doing his John Bernthal thing, which I think is so funny.
Let me tell you what about your dad, kid.
Let me tell you something. Rubbing his head.
Let me tell you something.
Everyone's doing, American accents because Matt Damon can't do a British accent, I guess, is the reason.
Okay, but why? No, I don't. Okay, I'm going to push back on this a little bit because it pisses me off whenever it's like whenever you watch something that's set in, Roman or even before that in, ancient Greek times, and it's just like, well, they were all just obviously white British guys. And it's like, no. Like it is no more or less accurate. And I think I talked about this last time, for them to have an American accent than to have a British accent, because they definitely would not have had that accent either way. It just becomes shorthand because Rome was a big colonizer. So I guess, so England also a big colonizer, and that became, well, olden times. Like, the Greeks were like old Romans, so they'll make them British too. And so it just made sense with, both the accents and the, casting, because you're not getting all these, unless they're actual all Greek actors, it's not accurate. People are like, well, Troy. I'm like, yeah, just a bunch of white fucking people in Troy. Like, Priam was not fucking this white dude, it's so... That whole thing, I'm just like, shut the fuck up, people. Not you, but like people on the internet complaining about that.
Yes. What was I going to say about that? It did a little bit of an issue, a little bit of a bump on Tom Holland's American accent. I did feel like he was over-enunciating father the entire time.
Well, he didn't say father. He said dad. There's the thing. That's the thing. He kept saying dad instead of father.
Okay, that makes sense.
Somebody on the internet gave him shit about it in an interview, and he's like, well, I wouldn't have said father either. I would be speaking ancient Greek.
Tom Holland's just overall American accent is tough to hide. It's Robert Pattinson, I think, does a better job of hiding his accent. Who else was here that had to smooth over an accent? I'm not sure. But yeah, just overall trying to get back, trying to give a overall thing here, but it's so epic, it's kind of hard not to.
Right. Exactly. There's so much in it. It's like, where do you even start talking about this one? But I mean, for me, talking about this is spoilers for the Odyssey.
Yeah.
Specifically Christopher Nolan's one, and it feels like in a lot of ways thematically connected to his last film, Oppenheimer, right? Because Oppenheimer is kind of about this guy who, in is this brilliant guy who came up with this thing, and that thing ended up winning the war for them. But also, maybe you have fucked over the entire world because of this thing you did, and this, feels like very thematically connected to it, and because that's something that's not in the original text, where the Odysseus brings about the end of humanity and the Bronze Age collapse, which I was kind of like, very cool that they're like bringing up the Bronze Age collapse, which was caused by like the sea. When they were talking about the sea people, I'm like, is this like the Bronze Age collapse? Because it was my history buff, like random shit that I know, gonna like pay off for me, and it did, because they're like, yeah, civilization. This is the end of civilization. It's like if Oppenheimer was like, actually, I have to take 10 years and atone for all my sins and get back to Kitty. And yeah, we did blow up the world with nukes, and civilization ended, but it will maybe rise again, and that's how Oppenheimer ended. That's what it feels like for this, because he did this thing where he basically, by using the Trojan horse, getting into Troy, sacking the city, and you're seeing chunks of it earlier in the film, but you don't really see it play out, which was once again not from the Odyssey, that's from the Iliad. But when you see it kind of play out in full, the end, you're just seeing all the horrific stuff that he's doing, and he is just there's all this stuff in the movie about Zeus's law and about treating others the way you want to be treated, and the way you treat your guests, and the norms of civilized life. And he basically just, by doing that, has broken all the rules of civilization. So now it is coming apart at the seams, and there are invaders coming from the ocean to just tear everything and everyone down, which of course actually happened. Civilization collapsed right around this time historically in the Bronze Age, and him tying it to that and then just kind of like sailing off into the sunset with his wife, I thought was a really cool way to give a new spin, but not in a way that felt disingenuous to the original text, and that it was also thematically connected to what Nolan has been talking about in his last few movies.
Yeah, I think that's a really smart read about him. They were saying this on the big pick of just the world as we know it is kind of over, and they're just taking off. And very similar to they were saying, like, Chris Nolan and his wife are like, yeah, the U.S. is kind of fucked right now, so we're going to stay in England. We're going to find a place not here. Sorry, guys. So yeah, it's very similar to Oppenheimer, where he is taking responsibility for what he did, but also saying, I placed the world on this trajectory, even though it might have been headed there sometime, and he has to reckon with that in a very similar way that Odysseus has to reckon with what he did. And I think you alluded to it, where they were giving the account of what happened in Troy, which was what what's his name, John Bernthal's character,
John Bernthal, the king of Sparta,
Menelaus, is talking. Menelaus.
He's Brian Cox in the in Troy.
Yeah, I haven't seen.
Or was Brian Cox Agamemnon, his brother? I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Let's talk about. Excuse me, I got hiccups right now. Agamemnon, played by Benny Safdie. Very interesting casting there. The Greek king.
When that came up in the credits, I was like, oh shit, that was Benny, because he's like this humongous, insane, imposing figure with a fucking helmet that has a spine on the back of it, and he's just like this ultimate insane badass even in death. But it's like, he's played by one of the Safdie brothers. And I love because that's the thing, that's, once again, it's in these other texts, about the cycle of Troy, about what happened to Agamemnon when he returned home, and how he was killed by his wife. But it's not in the Odyssey necessarily, and so to have it play into this, I thought that was really cool thematically, to have that be the reason that he comes disguised as a beggar there in the end, and just kind of about how people like Agamemnon and Odysseus have destroyed the world through because of different reasons, because of different means, but they have both been punished for it. Agamemnon, of course, being killed, and Odysseus by having to go on this 10-year-long journey to go home.
Yeah, spends majority of his time, not majority of his time, but he spends 7 years with Charlize Theron's character.
Calypso.
Spends a lot of time with her, which I would, if I was there, maybe I would as well. Just
But
saying.
what if you were married to Anne Hathaway?
Tough choice. That's a Sophie's choice there, my friend. You laid out before me. I will not take the bait. What was I going to say? Very interesting casting with Benny Safdie, and speaking of roles, Lupita Nyong'o playing Helen Troy, and Clemestria, Helen's sister, and Agamemnon's wife.
Good enough.
Very cool. Well, not cool, but speaking of physical stuff, speaking of, wow, that looks real. Her makeup of her face being sort of cracked like a statue was very, very telling, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That was really cool. And I also, speaking of cracked like a statue, I love that when he goes and, commits this taboo of defacing Athena's temple, which is one of the reasons why in the Odyssey, the original, telling, he is unable to go home. And you see, Athena appears to him as Zendaya over the course of the film, and you see that you realize at the end of the movie, she has taken the form of an innocent woman who was beheaded in that temple. I thought that was a really clever and cool twist.
Very cool twist, yeah. Kind of playing a similar role that she did in the first Dune, playing Shuri? Shani. Yeah, Shani in the first Dune, this sort of ethereal figure that we don't really see too much of. Hopefully she will be taking a much larger role. And the third one, which they had the trailer of, I saw the trailer already, but again, just seeing things in IMAX, I always forget, man, this shit is epic. This format is epic. The soundscape is epic. Really glad I got to check this out in IMAX, even though it's not the true IMAX. There's so much I like. I want to talk about the little bit of horror aspect of this movie, very much so with the Cyclops, the section we didn't really touch on yet, but it's kind of a elongated segment where they were stuck in the cave and they're trying to figure out how to get out, and eventually they're like, okay, we'll just stab this thing in the eye, and then we'll try to get out as it's flailing around. And, a lot of this movie is about hubris. Again, talking about the hubris of Oppenheimer. Odysseus' hubris really bites him in the ass multiple times, where they're leaving the cave of the Cyclops and he has to take that one last shot. And he's like, it's like, why'd you do that? Well, it's a monster. That's what you do. It's a fucking monster. So it's like, well, yeah, but now you just cursed us, asshole. Yeah. So did you get that connection of that the hubris of Odysseus contrast or comparing that to Oppenheimer?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's that scene. There's of course the scene where which is more accurate to the book, because it's still, there's like some hubris involved with the Cyclops, but it plays out differently in the text. But the scene where he's like, I'm gonna listen to the sirens, I'm gonna be the first guy, and it fucking, and like when he describes it, it's just like it's clearly affected him and changed him. He's like, I'm not just gonna put wax in my ears, I want to hear this shit. Just to see Damon's reaction is so goddamn good.
Yes, exactly. What else here? Yeah, like you said, Samantha Morton. Speaking of the horror aspect of this film, that whole scene was
some body horror.
Body horror, absolutely. Let me ask you, what scene did that remind you of men turning into pigs while eating loads of food? It
reminded me of Spirited Away, obviously.
Yes.
Which is which Spirited Away is riffing on the Odyssey.
Yes. Again, it all comes back to the Odyssey. Everything circles back to that thing. What else here? Let me see. Bill Irwin is the on-set performer of Polyphemus. Was he the guy giving the
He's the Cyclops.
Oh, he was the Cyclops. Okay. Who was the guy when they're going to the place where they meet the spirits, the dead spirits? They meet Sinon and they meet Agamemnon's spirit. The guy that's in the ground and you can only see his mouth. Do we know who was playing that, and what did that? Do you know?
I did see it, but I don't recall off the top of my head.
Very cool character, very well played.
Yeah.
That scene reminded me a lot of is it Joel Cohen or Ethan Cohen did the Macbeth, the one with Denzel Washington.
Oh. Yeah.
Remind me a lot of the sort of prophecy person in that movie as well.
The witches. Yeah,
the witches. Yes. Let's see. What else do you want to talk about this movie? I mean, just the scope of it, just like all the scenes on the ocean of them. The night scenes, the storm scenes, so well done. Especially when the boat finally breaks apart, you kind of know it's coming, but it's so well done. And again, you are following and having this connection with Hamish Patel, and the scene where the boat finally breaks and he gets knocked out, and that's the last time you're ever going to see him. I was very invested in that scene.
Yeah, like there's across the board, there's so many just amazing performances, like definitely some that we've highlighted, but the movie is just chock full of all these great things. And I think overall the movie is it's a technical marvel, we already talked about how good it is, that like with Nolan's direction and everything, but it feels like a movie that has become rarer and rarer and rarer, and you need somebody who is a auteur who can consistently get money in, like somebody who, like his film on Robert J. Oppenheimer was both a huge box office success and it won Best Picture.
Yep.
So it's just like, yeah, fucking, now this guy wants to adapt, the most famous story of all time. Cool, and it doesn't he's able to make this huge passion project. You can see that this movie was clearly all the money's on the screen, and it's so cool to have a version of the Odyssey that looks like this. That is so cool. That is, riffing on so many modern themes. It feels very, from what I understand, in line with the Emily Wilson translation, specifically, and I don't know, man. Just seeing the Siege of Troy. Like
Yeah.
there was a British BBC miniseries from a couple years back that was like a Troy miniseries, and you're like, it is astounding what the same source material can look like, depending on if you have a lot of money, but B, someone with a lot of talent and vision behind it.
Yeah, talent, vision, technical ingenuity of the IMAX.
The collaborators that do the best of their game.
The best collaborators, the best people working at the top of the game, like you said. Just to get a little bit of technical stuff about the making of this movie, the IMAX camera is very loud. So we had them engineer, they were calling them blimp somethings, and they had to have this casing around them that would that would muffle the sound enough so the actors could hear what they're saying, but the casing was so big that they couldn't see around it to get the coverage of seeing, like if there are two people talking, they had to build mirrors around the casing so that they would bounce the faces off of them. Really inventive way of doing that. Must have been very difficult.
That's some movie magic shit right there.
Yeah, it must have been very hard to act that way. I do want to circle back to the guy I was trying to find, Tyrus, the blind prophet, was played by James Remar. I don't know this person's work. Apparently, he was Frank Gordon in Gotham.
James Remar, isn't that? Hold on.
Yeah.
Isn't he from fucking oh my god. He's like from god damn it. It's like these like old cheesy movies.
Might be. So he's in a lot of cheesy movies. Too Fast and Furious, Blade Trinity. He was an FBI agent in that. He played. Yeah, he's been in a lot of he's in Mortal
Kombat Annihilation. That's what I'm thinking of.
Okay, Lord Raiden. Yes, yeah, he was that guy.
Yeah, yep. he replaces the original Raiden in the sequel.
Gotcha. Yeah, so that was that guy. I finally found it. Let me see. I know there was a few other things I wanted to mention before we finish up.
Chris Lambert is who we replaced.
Yes.
The Highlander.
Yeah. Let's see. I know there was, just him going to Thrinecia. Odysseus tells him not to kill the cattle because they will be killed. And they were, apparently. So it's like, well, you're either going to die from hunger or you're going to be blown up. You're going to be washed away in the ocean, which they eventually do. And that scene where they just passed the sirens and they're trying to go across, get away from the what's it called, the rotating thing in the water. What's that called?
Oh, the cyclone.
The cyclone, yeah. So they
Or whirlpool.
Whirlpool, thank you. So they navigate around the whirlpool, but then they get they get attacked by some crazy things off some cliffs. I don't know what those things were called. What were they called? When they get past the whirlpool, right? And they're like, okay, we're past that. Their oars are broken on one side. They're like, holy shit, you didn't tell us about that. Or no, they get past that, but then those things come off the cliff and start picking them off the boat, whatever those things were. Yeah, that
scene felt very, very. I mean, and a lot of stuff in this film felt very Ray Harryhausen. You know, I kept thinking of the Jason the Argonaut scene, where there's a very similar moment that plays out, because obviously it's riffing on the same source material. But yeah, it's I thought that was so cool, and as a Harryhausen fan, I was really excited to see that.
Yeah. So yeah, let's just get to the end here. The only thing we were talking about, I think it's the end scene and the attack on Troy. They have the Luka Gorkin's score just go off. It is. I was my heart was racing the entire time. So Odysseus gets back to Ithaca. He sneaks in. He talks to great performance we haven't mentioned yet. John Leguizamo as Ulysses, his faithful servant.
Did the sloth.
Yes, that guy. He gets with him. He doesn't tell him who he is right away. I think he does figure it out, but he gets into town. He meets with him. He meets Tom Holland, Telemachus, and Telemachus' son doesn't recognize him right away. But once they get to sort of the gates of the what do you call it? The not theater. It's, I had it right in my head. Not a palace. It's the place they live, the place they're eating in. It's like
like the hall.
The hall, yeah. It's like a biblical term. Like he's in the place where they eat.
The precipice, or
It's like a biblical name. It's like, oh, Jesus tore up the whole place because they were gambling and there were prostitutes. And anyways, he gets into there. He gets right before there, and he recognizes his dog, and he starts petting it, and the dog recognizes him, and Telemachus recognizes the dog, sees him. He's like, oh, you're my dad. He's like, yes. And that was a very emotional scene when he finally recognizes him. I think that's probably Tom Holland's best scene in the movie. And he's like, yeah, you can't say shit. I'm coming in here. I'm sneaking in, and we're gonna fuck these guys up, but don't say anything.
Right.
So,
yes.
He gets in, and he is talking to let's see, Antonius, and also Antonius's like friend, who's a piece of shit and is just beating up. He beats up anybody that pisses him off, and he goes up to Antonius is like, hey, he's asking for food, and he says this to Antonius, I have something for you. And Antonius is like, what could you possibly have, you fucking beggar? And he gives him this little piece that he had as a kid, a little lot that he got as a kid, which meant that he was supposed to go to war, but he passed it on to his younger brother. Younger brother was.
It wasn't his brother. It was like another. He was basically, and that part was, I would say, like a little bit confusing.
Yeah.
But he basically passes the lot off through somehow to this poor farm kid.
Yeah.
Because he's like, okay, like, yeah, I'll like take care of I'm rich, I'll take care of your family while you're gone if your son goes off and dies in my place, essentially. Which did not happen. The dad, they kind of just like fucked him over, and the dad just died poor anyway.
That's what he said. That's what Sinan said. Yeah, that was one of the big parts when Sinan, as his spirit, says that to Odysseus, is like, my dad died poor because I went to war. So apparently for the Wikipedia, it says Sinan was a Greek soldier and the son of a servant of Antonius. So that's how they're sort of not related at all, but sort of.
Yes, he's a character who's not in the Odyssey. He's in the Aeneid.
Gotcha. So Odysseus is in the hall. He's, still pretending to be a beggar. He gets hit by Antonius, and probably the best line reading of Tom Holland's career for me so far, especially definitely in this movie, but probably overall, where Tom Holland's like, fucking stop it! Everybody stop fucking eating! Get the fuck out of my hall! Really boisterous line reading there from Tom Holland. I think people didn't leave right away because Penelope says, "Hey, I'm sick of y'all eating my food, fucking my people. So tonight we're gonna have a trial. You're all going to try to net this bow, try to put this bow together, and if you can't do it, well, you can't fuck me." So everyone leaves and comes back in. Everyone leaves. The people that are going to try to shoot her come in. They lock the hall. They put all the weapons away, and everyone that wants to shoot her, steps up to the plate. Nobody can do it, obviously. Antonius doesn't even try. He's like, "Oh, well, lady, nobody can replace your husband. He was the best of us. We all know that, but we still love you. And we want to be with you." And blah blah blah. Then, obviously, Odysseus is that Odysseus's music? He steps up, puts the bow together, shoots the thing. Wait, does Penelope realize that it's him at that point or no? She must, right?
As soon as I think, she doesn't realize it, but the handmaiden realizes it because of the scars on his foot,
yes.
And it's not until he strings the bow that she figures it out.
Do we want to go back a little bit? Because that was, they were talking about this in the big pick about that whole thing. That's the part where when Odysseus is talking to Penelope for the first time, without revealing himself, telling her what actually happened at Troy and how they rape and pillaged Troy and how he was so that's his Oppenheimer moment. That's his moment of like
exactly that's what I was saying. Yeah, that's his moment of like, we fucked over, like my decision, my quote unquote cunning decision was this underhanded fucking trick that led to the rape and pillage and destruction of this great piece of civilization because Agamemnon wanted some control or some fucking trade routes. And now civilization is going to be crushed because I broke Zeus's law, which I've been telling everybody we have to follow this law, but I just fucked it over, and you've seen that over the course of the movie, how everything is falling apart, and you get that really incredible flashback sequence tying off the bow to the siege of Troy, and seeing how, brutal that was.
Yes, very one of the best scenes of the movie. So back to the tying the bow scene. He shoots the bow, reveals himself to everyone. We get one of the best action set pieces I've seen in a very long time. He's just John Wick, Jesus yes. Christ, it's Jason Bourne. He does some Jason Bourne ass shit, and it is incredible. Yeah. Not bongos, the fucking drums are beating faster and faster, just like they were with the siege in Troy. Faster and faster. Telemachus goes up to the weapons room because piece of shit Logan Marshall Green goes up there, but busts a hole in the ceiling, is feeding weapons to people that are trying to fight Odysseus. Piece of shit Antonius is hiding behind a pillar saying like, "Get the shield, get the pike, get the sword." Like, you just shut the fuck up and die already. Tell me, was your heart beating as fast as mine was during this entire sequence?
Yeah, no, that sequence is so fucking good. I love the way it starts out where he shoots like the kind of like secondary main suitor behind Pattinson.
Yeah.
Just shoots. He's like in the mid-send, it just shoots him in the fucking neck.
Yep.
And just shit pops off. It is such a great, awesome action. And, it's from the book. Like, Odysseus goes and fucking kills all those dudes in the book, And so it is just so fun. Like, it's one of those things that was just like, man, it is so cool to see this ancient scene played out with all of our modern technologies and amenities and practical effects, just playing it, just seeing this guy really fuck these guys up in an incredible action scene.
Incredible action scene. We know he's going to win, but I think the mark of a good film director, a mark of a good filmmaker, a mark of a good storyteller is that you're still worried about him. You're still worried for his safety, which I was. He's shot with a few times with some bows. He's hit with some pikes. He's hit a few times. I'm like, whoa, is he going to make it out of this? And also you have the cutting back and forth between that fight and the Telemachus and what's his name that he's playing? Logan Marshall Green. Melanithus. Apparently they're twins. Mia Goth and Logan Marshall Green's characters were twins. I would have liked to seen Mia Goth get got. I don't know if we do see her get killed in that epic fight scene.
Yeah, I don't remember her dying in that because she's like kind of like cowering and stuff like that. I don't really remember exactly what happens.
I remember specifically she's trying to get back into Penelope's quarters, but she's like, "No, you will wait out here."
She gets like fucking like shut up somewhere, like locked away with like no fucking food or water. Like, doesn't she get like trapped somewhere by Penelope?
I don't know. Yeah. I wish they would have highlighted that because she was a piece of shit. Her and Antonius were colluding together because I remember that. It was a very funny. It was just like so, like halfway into the movie, it's Antonius is talking to who's he? Oh, he was talking to Penelope, trying to get her, trying to bet her, and she rebukes him, and he leaves in a huff, and he tells her, or no, how does he find out? He finds out from somebody that. Like she tells him that, oh, my son's off to see his grandfather, and then as he's leaving, oh, that's right, yeah. Mia Goth tells him no, he went off to wherever he went off to, and then even in a farther corner, John Leguizamo's character is like overhearing that. That was a very funny, like sneaky espionage scene in there. But yeah, the ending is incredible. You know, Odysseus beats ass for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Just, you know, because I remember specifically somebody loosens a brick in the ground so that he could pick up the axes that were tied together. So he's whipping ass with that. He's grabbing swords, he's grabbing shields. He's just doing some John Wick, Jason Bourne shit for like 20 minutes. It was incredible. My theater actually cheered when he finally stabs Antonius. He like gives him a nice like, I'll see you in Hades, motherfucker, and tell you when you get there, tell Sinon you're a fucking coward or some shit like that. Just a great final line, stabs the shit out of him. Really satisfying ending for him. Then goes back to Penelope, and again, we all know the story. And he actually, you know, I'll admit it right here, I didn't know if he was going to live or die. I thought when he's in Penelope's arms, like, I don't know what's going to happen here. I literally don't. So when they finally set off, I was like, oh, that's interesting. That they do kind of play it like
it seems like Odysseus is going to, you know, die. He's going to perish right there. You know, that's going to be he's got like fucking a Boromir amount of arrows sticking out of his back, and they're like, all right, like you're fucking like you're toast. And he says, like, I had to see Ithaca one last time, and she's like, you know, and he's like, well, not before I die, before we sail away into the sunset, which is something that, you know, comes back. It's something that the two of them had talked about, like possibly doing when he first got summoned to go to Troy. So it was nice to have that thematic bookend there, and it's be like, no, he's not dying. Civilization is dying, but they're sailing away into the horizon, the literal chasing the sunset.
Chasing the sunset, yeah. So yeah, holy shit. Great fucking movie. Great discussion. Really love this movie.
Absolute cinema.
Absolute fucking cinema. I'm gonna see it tomorrow with Dion in Normie Vision there, but I'll be seeing it there. Normie Vision. So I'll be seeing that, and next time we talk, I'll have seen it on the biggest screen in the country. So yeah. Can't wait for that.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool.
Yes. So that is the Odyssey. The agree or disagree with our takes, go fuck yourself. No. Email me midnightfilmpod@gmail.com. With that, let's get to our Letterboxd Assignments. I did check out Terrorizers. Let me see if I can pull
I barely know hers.
Barely newer. Terrorizer. Barely newers. Let me see. So this is Edward Yang. Let me pull up the thing here. I should have pulled it up earlier, but I didn't. 1986 film. This is from the Taiwanese new wave of directors. Edward Yang from 1986. It's complicated. Let me pull up my notes here because I had some notes because it was actually that complicated. This is pretty much like it's very Magnolia-esque, very fragmented storyline. It's essentially about like three couples that are sort of like dealing with criminality, but also with not criminality and trying to be that sort of like get out of the criminal business. One wants to, one doesn't. but it's very like Mulholland Drive-esque. It's very surrealistic at times. It's like if Wong Kar-wai directed Magnolia. It's not as long.
Okay,
It's not as long as that. It's not as confusing, but it is very, very, very surreal. Very good. Very like. Have you ever seen Burning? That movie from like 2019. Very similar to that. But yeah, would recommend.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. I unfortunately kept the streak going with
Nice.
mine and did not watch Pan's Labyrinth, but I
That's
will.
all right.
I promise. All these movies that I have missed on my shuffle, when I get when I have actual time, because I'm getting ready for Comic-Con and everything else, I will watch them.
Yeah. All right, let's go to our watch list. I'm actually going to do. What was I going to do? Oh, I have a list of movies from directors that I need to see called "Gotta Watch Them All." Films I haven't seen yet, organized by director to complete their various filmography. So I'm going to be pulling from that list this time. I'm going to hit shuffle and see what we get. I got a Richard Linklater movie, one of the few I haven't seen, called Tape. Tape from 2001. Ethan Hawke, Robert Sean Leonard, and Uma Thurman. Very quick 87-minute film from Mr. Linklater. So I'll be checking that out for next time.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. Yeah. You're much more of a Linklater fan than me. Let's see though what I get.
Spin it
and
up.
I got. This might be a miniseries. Fuck. Okay. That's fine. No. It's a movie. It's a movie. It's only 99 minutes. Park Chan-wook's English. I want to say his English debut, American debut. Stoker.
Nice.
About with Mia Wasikowska. So yeah, this one interested to see.
Yeah, really good. I don't remember when I saw it, but yeah, very, very, very good. Very creepy little movie. Yep, liked it a lot.
Yep, so, yeah, big fan of hers. She's very underrated actress. So there was a moment where it was like, oh, is she going to be the next big thing? And it really happened for her. So really excited for this one.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll be checking that out for next time. And there's really, I try to look for what's coming out in the next couple weeks, and there literally isn't anything. I think
everybody kind of moved out of the way of Spider-Man the Odyssey, I feel like.
Spider-Man the Odyssey. two Tom Holland epics. Let me see. Yeah, there's really nothing. Odyssey. Stuff came out this week, I guess. Some small stuff. Let me see. Motor City. Alan Richardson, Shailene Woodley, classic action thing. Limited theaters with that. We got a new Nicholas Winding Refn film with Havana Rose Liu called Her Private Hell. Is coming out in the next couple of weeks. Hadestown the musical. I keep seeing the trailer for that. Let's see. There was one thing I thought. Spider-Man, same week as Spider-Man, we have I Want Your Sex, I think, is coming to limited release. That movie I talked about seeing at the Berkshire International Film Festival. And yeah, that is literally it. But again, I will be seeing Odyssey again, so we won't really go into a deep discussion with that, but just on my whole journey seeing that at the AMC Lincoln Center. So yeah, should be a good time.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to be seeing the Minions and Minions and Monsters in all the formats. So I'll talk about that next time.
They do
seeing that in 70mm coming up here.
70mm, Screen X, all of those premium formats. All right, so Medium, Substack, go to there, DamianSherman.medium.com. Letterboxd, Medium, Midnight Film Pod. I'm 73 away from 2,700 followers. Go to Midnight Film Pod on YouTube, Spotify for podcasters. I'm on Discords as Punktrast still. Go to my TikToks, Midnight Film Pod on TikTok. I have a new interview up this week with Cameron Kunzelman. He's a associate professor of media studies down in I forget what college he teaches at, but I did an interview with him. He does several podcasts. He does one called Just King Things, where he reads all the works of Stephen King in chronological order. He does a show called Study Buddies, Game Study Buddies, where he reads game study academic books, which is very fascinating for me. He does a show called Shelved by Genre, which he's doing a year-long series on all the works of J.R.R. Tolkien. So they're up to Return of the King book right now. So they're going through that. They do long-form podcast about the works of J.R.R. Tolkien. So yeah, very good, very informative interview with him I did this week. So check that out on the feed right behind this episode. Derek, what you got to plug?
Yeah, my plug is, as always, the Underrated Movie Podcast, where I discuss films that are underrated, underappreciated, under the radar. I am right in the middle of my unreleased series, as I mentioned, talking about films that have been made unavailable in some way. Movies like the Roger Corman Fantastic Four, which was never released, like Toga, which was taken off of streaming, like Zack Snyder's cut of Justice League, which was taken away from him for a long time. So stuff like that, over on Underrated. You can also find my writing at templeofgeek.com. And if anybody is going to San Diego Comic-Con this coming week, I would love you guys to check out a couple panels that I'm on. Underrated is going to be hosting a panel on Saturday. These are both taking place at the Neil Morgan Auditorium, which is outside of the convention center, but it is still part of Comic-Con, so you need a badge to get in. But it is called The Next Stages of Movie and Theater Evolution. That is, once again, happening Saturday. That is the 25th of July at 11 a.m. at the Neil Morgan Auditorium in the San Diego Central Library. The following day, on Sunday, the 26th, at 1 p.m. in the same location, I will be part of the Pop Breaks podcast, talking about the best pop culture vacation destinations. It's going to be a bracket-style game where we're picking our the best fictional places that we would want to go on a vacation at.
Nice, very cool. And what was the name of that convention?
San Diego Comic-Con.
San Diego Comic-Con. You suck these nuts. Doesn't quite work. Doesn't have the same ring to it as the other one.
Nope, doesn't really work.
All right, for Midnight Film Society, I'm Damian.
I'm Derrick.
We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.